So when I'm at the gym and I'm at the dumbbell section, doing my thing, working out, doing my thing, and I see the person next to me and he has like a similar physique to mine, he's built similar to me, but I see him using heavier weights or he's doing like a similar workout as I'm doing. Like that messes with me. Like, bro, that is like, bro, what? Like, the man's using heavier weights to me or he's doing more reps to me. Like, nah, I have to beat this nigga now. Now it's a competition. I have to beat this nigga now, bro. So I'm gonna do whatever it takes. I'm gonna use the heavier weight. I'm gonna do more reps than this man. I'm gonna do whatever it takes for me to outshine him because ain't no way you finna outshine me when I'm working out. That's dead. Or like another example, let's say on a regular day, I use like 30-pound weights, right? But on a particular day, I'm like probably feeling a little tired and I'm using 25 pounds. Bro, I'm gonna push myself to like, bro, what's wrong with you, bro? Go use the 30 pound. Like, fuck wrong with you, nigga? Like tee up, man, tee up. And that right there, that thing that is like pushing me to like use the heavier weights or to do more, that thing is my ego. So I, like everyone else in this world, have an ego. I have an ego. And I don't think an ego, having an ego is a bad thing. I feel like we paint, someone with the ego or, paint the word ego in this negative light. But really, ego really isn't even like this negative thing that we created to be. Honestly, depending on who you are, your ego can be a good thing. Your ego can be actually a good thing. So let me actually define the word ego before we get any further, because I feel like we have a lot of different definitions of ego, like incorrect definitions. I'm gonna read these two definitions of the word ego, and yeah, I feel like these two definitions are pretty accurate to what ego really is. So the first definition is the I or self in any person, a person as thinking, feeling, and willing, and distinguishing itself from the selves of others and from objects of its thoughts. The second definition I feel like is a little more accurate. It's more bare bone and like more precise to what like the literal meaning of ego is. And it goes as, ego is not being natural, not feeling at home, and not having a sense of belongingness. Ego is separateness, non-belongingness. It is wanting to prove and to possess. So the definition of ego is like being like separate or like individuality, you know what I'm saying? Just being apart from like the rest of the group, you know what I'm saying? Is like just being apart. And the reason why I'm giving this definition, because I feel like I said, a lot of people like misinterpret the word ego and give their own definition to the word. And they normally give like a negative definition, like have a negative connotation to ego, basically meaning you being arrogant or cocky, which it isn't incorrect, you know what I'm saying? You can be arrogant from having an ego. That can be like a cause from the ego, but you being arrogant or like you perceive yourself in a high regard compared to other people, like, yeah, it's that level of separateness. It's that separateness that is in the original definition. It's you being separate or you being apart from other people, like you just having that, individualness, like I don't know if that's even a word, but like, you get what I'm trying to say. Same way how you put yourself in high regard and everyone else like here, is the same way you can put yourself down here and like think of yourself like lowly of yourself and like everyone else above you. That's still all from the works of the ego. In this video, I'm gonna speak through like the male's perspective. This can apply to male or female, but like I'm gonna speak through like the male's perspective and actually give direct advice or trying to, relate this to men out there, because I'm a man myself. I feel like it's important because as a man, I feel like you need your ego. You need your ego as a man because it will help you do more for yourself. Like, ego is an essential part of a man's growth and just overall progression through life. And actually, I got this article right here that I picked up that actually goes over the fact that ego can be a positive thing in your life if you use it correctly. So I got my article from this website called The Art of Living, and the title of this article is, "What is Ego? 5 simple yet powerful ways to transcend the ego for good. It says right here, there is also a positive aspect of the ego. It drives one to do some work. A person will do a job either out of compassion or out of ego. Most of the work in society is by boosting the ego. Your ego literally pushes you to do more for yourself, like that feeling for you to, go above and beyond, because your ego is tied to your thoughts and your feelings. And those feelings that you have of something that you feel like you need to do will trigger that ego, and your ego will start to act and play for you to tell you, hey man, like lock in, nigga, like do your shit, like put in some work. Maybe you have to go to the gym that day. Maybe in my case, like you see a nigga using heavier weights than you, like your ego will trigger and say, bro, lock in, like you need to actually what are you doing, bro? Like stop loafing right now, bro. So like that ego is important because it will push you to make you do more that you didn't even know was possible. And that's the part of ego that, that aspect of ego of not feeling like you belong, or not, feeling at home. You are trying to make yourself at home. That ego will push you to be at home. That ego would, push you to do more because you already feel out of place. As men, you really need that sort of, energy. You need that sort of like motivation in your life because, masculine energy is really like passionate. It's very passionate. It's very aggressive. It's very, forward and very, direct. You know what I'm saying? All these really like, hard, very, aggressive words that ties into masculinity. Those feelings will like literally tie into your ego, and your ego will feed upon those feelings. Your ego will literally come to you, like use those feelings like, bro, you need to push yourself to do more. Like you need to push yourself to do more. And that's how literally how like, the greatest athletes are formed. Like niggas like Michael Jordan or fucking Floyd Mayweather or Muhammad Ali. All these niggas that use their ego as a way for them to like push themselves to be better because they feel out of place. They don't feel like they belong where they're at right now. At their current state of being, they feel like they don't belong. They feel separate. Like they feel separated from like where they actually desire to be at, which is the best. So they use their ego to fuel them up so they can train, do whatever it takes so they can, get to that point of their life. Ego can be used in many ways of, overall growth. Like, you can, a way that you can utilize your ego, use your ego to your advantage is literally your ego can allow you to face your fears, things that you didn't want to confront. Your ego will force you to do it. Ego is literally uncomfortable, allowing you to leave something on the table. Your ego is basically saying like, bro, you have like some burdens on your shoulder, like you have something in your mind that you need to address. This article right here from the Up Lab, right? And it even talks about, it goes into depth of, facing your fears. You want to go somewhere new. You want to join a new organization, attempt a new hobby, speak to a stranger, but you won't. You probably experience those impulses on a daily basis, but you hesitate to act on them. The next time you realize you're hesitating, remind yourself that you may not have that opportunity again. Take action. You can totally do it. You already done so many difficult things. Like there's so many things that like we are afraid to do because we are, anxious of what could potentially happen because we're trying to predict the results. But you never know unless you try it. Like for example, approaching a girl, right? You see a girl that you think she looks good, you think she's fine or whatever, and you're afraid to approach her. You don't know what's gonna happen. You don't know if you're gonna get her number. You don't know what's gonna happen. You don't know if she's gonna reject you. You don't know what's gonna happen. But the least you can do, you owe it to yourself to try. And that is where your ego will come in play. Your ego will tell you, bro, you need to at least, give yourself a shot to talk to her, bro. Like you need to like at least, see what's up with her. Maybe she would, maybe she will entertain it. Maybe she will, maybe she is interested. Maybe she's like thinking about, man, I've been so lonely lately. You don't know what's gonna happen. Next way you can utilize your ego, is for you to stop settling for less. And I actually made a whole separate video about, this idea of stop settling for less. I got it up here, somewhere up here. Your desires and your wants will literally, they feed your ego. Those are part of the things that feed your ego. And if you ignore those desires, your ego will trigger and tell you, nigga, what are you doing? Why aren't you, doing the things that you're supposed to do to get the desire that you want? Because you being complacent and you being, comfortable is literally what's damaging you. You're literally comfortable, but you're uncomfortable because the fact that you're uncomfortable. It's like literally, it's whole like just fucked up mentality of you just being complacent and comfortable when you know you have so much on the table left for you. That's when I was telling the story, like, bro, like, the niggas when I was in Target, bro, they saying they were working there for like 15 years, 18 years, all that. I'm like, your ego isn't triggered at all, bro. Like, your ego isn't like triggering you at all. Like, come on, bro. Like, what? Like, yes, your ego is good. There's so many ways that you can use your ego to benefit you, but of course, is too much ego bad for you? And yes, too much ego is bad for you, like anything else. Like, too much of anything is bad for you. If your ego is the sole driving factor of your life, you're gonna be so caught up with always trying to prove yourself that you are not even aware of your own circumstance. You're not even like aware of what you are and who you are, because your ego is like really consuming your entire life. Because you are not your ego, bro. You are not your ego. Don't let your ego dictate everything in your life. Use ego as an asset, as a way to push yourself, not as your overall sense of self. You know what I'm saying? Because your ego, you are not your ego. Your spirit, your soul, your inner self is not your ego. Your ego is just an extension of that. That separation will lead to isolation, completely void of everything else besides you. And you're so caught up with your own desires and your own thoughts, and that's what leads people to become conceited and shit. At a certain point, you must transcend your ego, bruh. You must transcend that, that ego that has been working for you to push, compare yourself to do more at the gym, maybe just constantly just feeding into your desires and shit, bro. You need to transcend that and become more, grateful. Like, I want to say grateful, but like have more humility to yourself. Have more humility to yourself. Be more, holistic as a person. Be someone that is satisfied but not complacent. The reason why I feel like learning how to use your ego is such an important skill is because you don't want to live a life full of regret. Like, you don't want to live a life leaving things on the table. Just using your ego will allow you to chase the things that you desire, or allow you to at least attempt to do things that you wanted to do. But you identifying yourself as your ego will literally make you regret your entire experience of life itself, because your ego will just always want more. You'll always be chasing for the next thing, but like, what's more than the life you already have right now? So in conclusion, man, your ego is a great tool. It's a great tool for you to get the things that you want in life. But if you leave it unchecked, you're gonna turn everyone against you, even yourself. And your ego isn't this terrible toxic thing that everyone paints it out to be. Like, your ego is a part of you. It is a part of who you are. You know what I'm saying? And don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of your ego, because everyone has an ego. And you can use your ego to your advantage if you learn how to. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's basically the whole video. And I appreciate y'all for watching this shit. You know what I'm saying? And we out of here.